Thank you for calling One Division Pro.
I need 5 backstage passes to Reunion.
KC Lycan has successfully completed his sessions.
60-minute Iron Man match.
This Iron Man match got MVP headquarters going crazy.
The Dark Star, Idris Jackson.
Here comes Dante. Can this be KC's time? Steve in person is despicable.
All right.
Yo.
Hello, and welcome to a special Wednesday night bonus episode of the Opinion City podcast. I'm King Ralph, he's Parmesan. We are your hosts, and Sean, we've got a great show tonight. We've got
super excited.
A returning guest, someone we met
yeah.
at the CZW show, and
That's right.
we got a chance to talk to him, and he is back on the program.
Full time, full stop.
Yes, it's going to be a full episode with him tonight. We're super excited to be having Jarett Diaz on the show. And Sean, we've got a first in our top fives. Very excited for this one.
Me too. I'm excited for it.
What do we got?
Top 5 musicals.
All right. That's amazing.
Musicals.
I love it. Again, we love the non-wrestling
Yes,
top
they're
fives
more
on
fun.
here.
They're more fun.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, with that in mind, let's bring him in. He is the face of the franchise. It is Jarett Diaz. Hey, there he is.
Here I am. Gentlemen, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of
want
course.
to just get ahead of this publicly and say I apologize for the miscommunication, not being on the same page for yesterday, but it is Wednesday night, and Wednesday night's all right with me. So let's chat, man.
Let's do it. Now, Buzz,
Awesome.
You forgot to add, he's also the closer and the current One Division Pro World Champion.
We're gonna get into all of that awesomeness that he brings to the show. There's a lot to talk about, but let's kind of start it off in this manner. Tell us in your own words, who is Jarett Diaz?
Jarett Diaz is the face of the franchise, the quarterback of the company, the uptown ace, the closer, the guy that you want on every poster, the guy that you send out for media, for charity events, the professional wrestler, the sports artist that you put front and center so that you have the prettiest, most eloquent superstar on your roster promoting your shows.
Love it.
That's absolutely right. Now,
Awesome.
let's just get right down to it. Talk to us about One Division Pro. When and how did you get involved with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So One Division Pro initially introduced themselves to me at a show in Puerto Rico that I was wrestling on around this time last year. I want to say late January last year, and I wrestled on the same night as their champion at the time, Hyena Hex. He was defending the title in Puerto Rico, and we just happened to cross paths. And the boss of the company, Mr. Labels, decided to come over to me and say, "Hey, I'm Mr. Labels. I run One Division Pro Wrestling. We do a lot of collaborations, which is why I'm here with our champion on the show, and we'd love to work with you sometime down the road." I said, "Absolutely. Let's be in touch." They contacted me a couple of months later, asking for my information and wanted to get in touch with me and just wanted to start those negotiations, those conversations. Fast forward to the fall, I want to say late September, early October. And I go to meet the team at One Division at headquarters in Jamaica, Queens, where I am introduced with an opportunity to compete for the world championship against that same guy, Hyena Hex. They get a feel for me and what I want from the company and what my goals are, in not only at One Division Pro, but in professional wrestling. And I think I made an impression because they confirmed that championship match then and there. And not maybe 2 weeks later, I was put in an opportunity to wrestle Hyena Hex, at which point I didn't know at the time why, but one Steven Person, who I thought was a friend of his, decided to get involved in the match. I didn't ask for help, nor did I need it, but he had his grubby little hands in the thing, and one way or another, I turned out on top. I have been the One Division Pro champion since the fall, and I was able to officially declare it a world championship by defending it overseas in England.
There you go.
Nice.
Hell
Right.
yeah.
So
Amazing.
that's really crazy. Just being able to do stuff like that. So you mentioned you were on a show in Puerto Rico. So
Yes.
have you wrestled outside of the country a lot, or has it just been like a couple trips here and there?
Yeah, so my first opportunity to go overseas came through WXW Germany. Actually, they had put out some feeler on social media, on Twitter, and were just looking for new American talent that they had yet to see, that they had yet to feature.
Mm-hmm.
And myself, Steve Pena, and a few other Americans were chosen to come out to Germany in the fall of 2022, which was my first time leaving the country for wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I wrestled a man like Darius, who is one of the best wrestlers in all of England and has really made a statement himself here with GCW in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And Eli Isom, who is a Ring of Honor
yeah.
superstar, who I'm actually going to be wrestling again at the end of this month, March 2nd at FWA in Havre de Grace, Maryland. So got in the ring with some great guys, and I learned a lot in a few days there. Following that, I went to Puerto Rico about a year ago in January, and 2 months later, in mid-March, I went to England for the first time, brought a couple of my buddies who we now call ourselves as 87 Churches, O'Shea Edwards, myself, Jaden Newman, and Cody Manhorn. We went on this trip for 10 days, wrestled a whole bunch, trained with some great guys, and made some friends along the way, and we're welcome to come back this past September. So I've been able to wrestle in Europe. I've been able to wrestle down in Puerto Rico, and I'm looking to make Mexico and Japan my priorities this coming year, as well as a return to Europe at some point.
Awesome.
That's taking the Jarett Diaz brand worldwide.
That's right.
100%. 100%.
Right.
As somebody who prides himself on being a premier athlete and quite literally the face of the franchise, putting myself in a position to represent not only One Division Pro Wrestling, but We Are Wrestling and CZW and FWA and all these other companies that I work for and that put their trust and their faith in me to represent them elsewhere, to put those companies on my back and go overseas and put them on the map as best I can is an opportunity and a relationship builder that I take very seriously.
Of course. Now, sticking with One Division Pro a bit, what does it mean to you knowing that this will be the last, that you'll be the last person to hold the original championship design and the first person to hold the new gold and diamond design come February 23rd?
So retiring that belt's going to be really cool. Aside from the fact that I've never been the first champion ever, the belt that I currently have, it holds a lot of weight. It has a legacy in its own right at One Division Pro. Multiple champions who've had it. Hyena Hex, the longest reigning champion, had it just before I did, before I ended that reign. So to be able to usher in a new era for One Division Pro with me as its champion, and to do so on a night that really is different. It is invite only. It is an industry event. Wrestlers, broadcasters, media members, friends, and family, to be able to, on this type of platform, be awarded that honor, it means a lot to me. And I know it means a lot to the company. So to be that guy is really primary in my goals here with One Division.
Yeah. So we're talking about February 23rd. We're talking about Reunion. And you have a huge, absolutely huge
match,
world title match against number one contender KC Lycan. So how are you preparing, and what's your strategy and thoughts going into this match?
I think when a lot of attention is on being the face of the franchise and promoting the match, one could get distracted in all of that, caught up in the promotion, in the gravity of the moment of the event. But I also consider myself the quarterback of the company, and as a quarterback, I have to watch tape, I have to prepare, I have to do my homework.
Sure.
I have to make sure that my game plan is without any flaws or holes, because KC Lycan, he might be a little bit crazy, he might have his mental issues, but I know he's been in a position where he has to go seek help for that, or else he doesn't get the match. And if that's what his focus is, that's fine, but that's not my focus. My focus is game planning, is preparing, it's lifting right, it's eating right, it's continuing to get the weight up and the muscle up without losing the cardio, without losing the speed, without losing the endurance, and making sure that I am at tip-top shape and the best that I can be stepping into that ring.
Sure.
Absolutely. So let's bring it back to your early years. Let's go back a ways. What was your earliest memory of pro wrestling that made you decide this is something that I really wanted to sink my teeth into and
every time
try for myself?
Oh man. So earliest moment that I can remember is being at a cousin's house playing not Here Comes the Pain, but I want to say Just Bring It, SmackDown
Just Bring It. Great game.
On the PS2. But that's such a scattered memory that I really can't tell a story there. But my real memory, the one that made me want to do this, is I'm 10 years old. I'm sitting in the after school program because both my parents worked, and a kid has a SmackDown versus Raw 2007 on his PSP. So this is 2006. I'm like 10 or 11 years old. And I see like this animated movie style cutscene of Shawn Michaels tuning up the band, getting ready to hit Sweet Chin Music, and bang, takes a guy's head off. And I'm enamored, right? I'm like, oh my God, what is that? That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And the kid go, oh, it's WWE. You got to watch it. It's tonight. It's tonight at 9. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I'm 10. My bedtime's at 9. Let me see if I can convince my mom to let me stay up an extra 15. Yeah. I got to see what this is about. I get home and I had that conversation with my mother when she gets home. And after some convincing, it's a couple minutes into the show now, 9:05. And I finally turn on. I find the channel. I go, the channel guide channel.
Right. Yeah.
14 on cable. And I find WWE Monday Night Raw, USA Network, 9 to 11 p.m. I said, all right, I go over there. And the first thing I see, because I'm a little late into the show, is Jeff Hardy diving off the apron onto Umaga. And my little brain could not handle what I was seeing, right? The images, just the caricature of those two different people, right?
Right.
This giant tattooed up Samoan man with the face paint and the twists and everything, versus this like raggedy, wet, slimy, all different types of hair color dude. And the action of it, like I said, my 10-year-old brain couldn't handle how much it was. But after watching the duration of that match and then having to go to sleep, I remember going to sleep thinking, I want to do that one day. I'm going to watch this every week. And so I dove into the research. I wanted to know who every wrestler was and how they got started and where they were all from, what they all weighed, what city, everything. I just wanted to know everything. I'm a big research kid. So I just dive in. And as I got older, when you get to like 12, 13 and, your friends start realizing like it's not exactly on the up and up,
Right.
And when I learned this, I decided, oh, that's even cooler because that means that I can learn this. That means that this is an attainable goal that I can keep in my life. And not just, brush it away like, oh yeah, I want to be the president. I want to be whatever. This is a very real thing that I could chase one day. So I was playing football at the time in middle school. And I said, all right, I already know I'm going to play football in college. That's something that I'm working for. That's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to allow football to take me wherever it takes me for as long as it does. And when that's done, I will go be a pro wrestler.
Gotcha.
So I start training between high school and college when I was going to go play college football in Indiana. And I had like 3 months at home before I left out for training camp. Just at that same time, they had their big layoffs at WWE post-Mania. And Kurt Hawkins was one of those guys. He opens up Creative Pro Wrestling over in Long Island with Pat Buck. And that's where I get my start. And that's where I start training for a couple of months. And I dip my toes in. And I said, okay, this is hard and my back hurts, but I want to be back tomorrow. And I kept going for those couple months. And I said, all right, I'm going to leave, but I'm going to come back to this. And it took a little longer than I expected, but I got back to it. So 2018, I moved down to Florida. I go finish my degree down at Full Sail University.
Nice.
Specifically there because of their partnership with WWE and the fact that Orlando sort of became the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And at the same time as pursuing my degree and starting an internship with WWE, I also started going to wrestling school again, pursuing this as a job full time.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, so a lot to unpack from that.
Yeah, a lot in the early journey.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff you threw at us. So, all right. So the first thing that jumps out at me. So you went to Full Sail University. So going to Full Sail University, you said you went there specifically because WWE was there. What were you majoring in at Full Sail University?
So I was studying sports broadcasting, which as you can tell, I can yap, and I wanted to yap for money. So I got into. I was always a sports fan, and I would wake up every morning and listen to Mike and Mike or watch.
Listen, I miss Mike.
I was a Mike and Mike kid, and I watched it on ESPN2 simulcast, or I listened on the radio on the way to school, and that was my thing. And I got a little older. I went to community college after my football career, and I started doing sports radio. And again, this is another thing where it's like, oh, I'm good at this. I can pursue this as a career.
Yeah.
And I've always thought myself someone who can juggle, someone who can not literally juggle, but do all the things. And I would rather have multiple goals and multiple paths than hyperfixate and fail.
Right.
So
sure.
I'm willing to put in as much effort as I can into as many things as I believe that I can do, and sleep later and rest later. So I went to Full Sail specifically to the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, and they had us learning how to edit and being on camera, writing stories, working cameras, all of the functional pieces that go into a sports broadcast.
Yeah. Right.
That's insane.
Now
it's a lot. It's a lot to juggle. But I also,
it's definitely a lot. It's a lot.
I learned a ton, and I was lucky because of the first opportunity with WWE, because of that partnership. My first job out of college was with WWE. My first job was a junior editor with NXT UK.
That's awesome.
I was able to make wrestling my living for a while.
That's so cool.
So what was that experience like, getting to work for, in a sense, NXT UK?
Yeah, so my internship started with NXT, where I was at the Performance Center a couple times a week for like 6 months while I was in college, and that was incredible, right? I'm listening to like Tom Phillips backstage at NXT tapings.
Crazy.
As the only intern who's allowed to do this. I'm sitting backstage while he feeds lines and info to Mauro and Nigel. That's the 2019, 2018 like perfect era of NXT that I was able to be a teeny tiny part of. And also traveling to these coconut shows, the Florida house shows that they would do, and having moments to pick brains of Keith Lee and Ricochet and Ciampa and all of the best wrestlers in the world were right there as I was learning my own wrestling journey too. So learning in that way was like, I'm trying to learn at double speed, and my brain can't take it all, but I'm trying because I was too early in my journey to really take everything they were giving me, but I would take as much as I could.
Of course.
And then coming out of that during COVID, moving back to New York and having those conversations with WWE again, being granted the opportunity to work for NXT UK was also an insanely different experience, because now I'm watching guys in developmental, not necessarily at the level of an Adam Cole or Gargano, who I'd been learning from previously, but still really great, but still learning. So how to wrestle for TV, doing tapings, getting production notes as well. You have like Matt Bloom and Shawn Michaels in your ear, just listing ideas of like how to wrestle to this camera, how to make this spot just a little bit meatier, whatever it may be. And then following that, now I'm in the edit. Now I'm creating these packages and these promos for these wrestlers that are about to be aired on Peacock. And cutting up matches to make sure that they're suitable for Peacock.
Right.
I'm learning how to do the thing I love while doing the thing I'm being paid to do. So it really was the best of both worlds. And the only downside of that was the time. I was also on a WWE schedule, which was grueling. And creating NXT UK every week was enjoyable, but it was also 4 people creating the entire show in the post every single week, nonstop on schedule, because that's that WWE schedule. So it was definitely a lot, but it was an amazing learning experience. And I believe that it made me a better wrestler just by being in the building.
Right. Now, having learned all those things and being able to do all those things other than just in-ring work, do you have a favorite thing backstage that like you really enjoyed doing other than just wrestling in the ring?
Oh yeah. So I did at the PC, I did every talent role that wasn't wrestling. That was my internship effectively. So I was backstage announcing, panel hosting, color commentary, and did we lose?
I think we did. That's okay.
We lost one. That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was doing
I
was doing color commentary and play-by-play, and I was doing backstage interviewing and panel hosting and all of these different things, ring announcing, and I enjoyed all of that. Ralph, did we lose you for a moment?
Yeah, we're good.
I don't know what happened there. All right.
Yeah, just being a part of that system was really cool, and learning from like Alicia Taylor and Caleb Braxton and Byron, really, really amazing to learn from those people. I would say my favorite thing outside of being in the ring is being a heel commentator.
Nice.
A color commentator with a twist is probably the most fun that I was having at the Performance Center, or as any part of that internship or employment.
Yeah, you mentioned Tom Phillips during all of that, and I honestly think Tom Phillips was one of the most unsung and underrated guys that has worked for that company.
So good.
So good. Just listening to him.
I'm so fortunate. I'm so fortunate that I was in a position. I'm still in a position to consider him somebody that I can go to if I have a question, a mentor. When I've spent 1 or 2 times backstage at TNA, he's the reason why. So my relationship with him, because of that internship, I'm so grateful and I'm so fortunate to have it.
Yeah. Shout out to Tom Phillips.
That's right.
Awesome. Very cool.
That's the man.
All right. So in your journey so far, who have been maybe some of the wrestlers that have inspired you?
Oh man. I spent some time yesterday talking to Kevin, who runs Ringville, a video series that is really cool, and I would definitely encourage people to check it out, as well as the Opinion City podcast, of course. Because
that's right. That's right. Cheap plug. Cheap plug. Love it.
And I was asked about Cody Rhodes because of my demeanor, the fact that I'm either in a tracksuit or a suit and tie, 90% of the time, and because I use the Crossroads, or what I like to call the Cross Bronx, as my finish.
I see what we did there.
So he's absolutely an inspiration and an icon. He's the kind of guy that really motivates me to believe that whatever I believe of myself, I can make happen. Somebody else that not only inspires, but I've also been able to pick their brain is Adam Cole. He is not only one of the coolest wrestlers of a generation, but he's also one of the nicest guys. And another example of, if you believe you're that, go talk your shit, go prove that you are, and people will believe it.
Right.
Those are definitely inspirations of mine. And on a more grounded level, my friends are always inspiring me. I would say my 2 best friends in wrestling are Richard Adonis and Jay Sky, both of which were at the CCW show where we met. And I know you guys watched Adonis wrestle Griffin Murray.
Man.
What did I say? Griffin McCoy.
Griffin McCoy, man, that
match was crazy.
Richard Adonis and Griffin McCoy was a hell of a match, right?
That was very intense.
Richard, myself, and Jay Sky have the most progressive and healthily competitive relationship I've ever
Right.
had,
Yeah.
because we really push on each other and pressure each other and shit on each other when it's necessary.
Right.
But
Of
we
course.
know, we
Heck
all
yeah.
collectively know that it comes from a place of so much love and so
Right.
much
Sure.
like care and passion for what we're doing and for each other's progress. So I would say on a very grounded level, those guys inspire me in the same way that I know I inspire them.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. So, speaking of friends, do you have a favorite match that you've had thus far in your career with said friends?
Oh yeah, I actually I just spent the weekend in Florida. I had Friday night, Saturday night, Monday night with them, and I think Saturday night we had a trios match that I would say is my favorite trios match of ours.
Oh wow. Okay.
We wrestled 3 guys down at Coastal Championship Wrestling, CCW,
Okay.
in Doral, Florida, like southern,
Okay.
Miami area.
Right.
And we lost, which is they
Right.
cheated.
Jeez.
But you know what? It doesn't matter because we really figured out what our formula is as a trio. We spent a lot of time doing a lot of tag, and I'm on the corner, or trios, or I'm single and the 2 of them are in my corner type situations in the first couple of years of us coming up, because we all started basically together. But we just finally felt like we had a perfect formula for a trio where our moves are in sync, our timing is in sync. We're doing combinations, the 3 of us, that one part moves, another part moves here, another part moves here, and it all comes out in this perfect sequence. That just really feels like we're on all gears. So that would be my favorite match that we've had collectively. But I've also went one-on-one with Rich Adonis 2 times. I've beaten him both times, so I'm waiting for him to step up against me again.
2-0,
And
baby.
2-0,
Jay Sky doesn't want the smoke, because we had a multi tag one time, and I put him down, and he does not. He says he wants to wrestle me one-on-one, and I hope I get to show him this clip, but I don't think he does.
Yeah, man. Jared, don't
Shots
joke.
fired.
Those are my guys, but I told you,
Yeah.
I'm going to shit on them when it's necessary.
That's right. Absolutely.
But we compete. We compete.
Now, have you guys thought about a trio's name?
Oh, we're the Rapture. We are the
Gotcha.
Rapture.
Okay,
Yes.
The Rapture.
We have
Got
been
it.
since late 2018. They were a tag.
Okay.
I joined as a third. We had some other people in the gang, in the fold, and they came and went, but the 3 remain.
The Rapture.
Nice.
Love it.
There.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Jarett Diaz brand.
Yeah.
Obviously, when people see you live, they see everything about you is the Jarett Diaz brand, from the custom track suits, which we got a firsthand look at, with the big captain logo on it, man,
sir.
the captain of the Jarett Diaz brand. So talk a little bit about, how this idea all came about, how you sort of, came up with the vision of the Jarett Diaz brand.
So I think that when you are a kid and you want to be a wrestler, you have all these ideas of like what your gimmick is and what your character is going to look like, what your gear looks like and fits like, and all of those things. And as you step into that, you realize that it's kind of, it doesn't always go how you want it to. It doesn't just snap in and happen. Aside from the fact that you need to find a quality gear maker and the right presentation for you, you also have to figure out how to bring that to life in real time. So it didn't happen quickly for me. I started with a hand-me-down pair of biker shorts trunks from my cousin Jason Cade, who I was fortunate enough to train with a lot. He was really, really good, and he worked for MLW. He's worked for WWE in some places, and he's worked all around the world as an independent wrestler. He doesn't wrestle anymore. He threw me a pair of these bright green generic black striped trunk shorts. And I said, all right, I'm just going to come out to a song I like and wear these and do some moves.
Right.
And that evolved into like, all right, well, I got to add something to this. So I threw on like a camo denim jacket that I had, which was a nothing burger. But I had this this snapback Jets hat that matched the trunks. And I was in Florida. So because I was wearing a Jets hat, everybody started calling me New York. And what comes with New York?
Yeah.
Booze. People don't like New Yorkers.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere, sometimes including New York, people don't like New Yorkers.
Right.
So I realized, like that's getting a reaction. That's a part of me. I don't see myself playing this over the top character, right? I'm not the Undertaker. So let me just lean into the parts of me that I know people are going to react to. My first pair of custom trunks were Yankee pinstripes.
Oh boy, there you go.
Yep, there it is.
Those are going to get booed everywhere but New York.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
So I started leaning into that, and that turned into a character called the Bodega Boy, where I'm coming to the ring with the Arizona and wearing a Yankee fitted or a Yankee jersey and whatever. I'm carrying like a Lucy and a honey bun to the ring. I'm just leaning into this like New Yorkie street kid who's just very obnoxious and is hanging out on your block, on your corner, and you really want him to get out, but he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where to go. So he's just there and he's in your way. And that's what that started to be. And I know kids like that. And I have friends and family that are like that. So it was easy to lean into. And as I started to grow up in my wrestling journey, I decided, hey, I don't really feel like that kid anymore.
Right.
I feel myself growing. I feel myself evolving. I know I'm getting bigger, so I'm definitely not looking like a kid. So let me evolve this thing. And so I started to go by the closer. The closer is that same sort of like baseball adjacent athlete kid. But he's grown up a little bit. He's trying to take himself a little more seriously. And then I'm in England with O'Shea and the guys, and O'Shea has a college football background just like I do. And we start talking about, how I can take my presentation and make it more me and make it more what I want it to be.
Right.
And I start talking about, how much I looked up to Cristiano Ronaldo's, your Tom Brady's, your Derek Jeter's. When you think of the sport, you think of that athlete. And so that's what I want. That's what I want my character to present, right? So the guy that you're going to put on the magazine cover, the guy that you're going to make sure is at those charity events for the most publicity possible. He takes himself seriously. He's very skilled at his craft, but it's not only about that. It's also about the public appearances. It's about the aura, as the kids say. You know what I mean? So being the face of the franchise and being the guy that literally represents the team, bringing that into wrestling and being that for whatever company that I'm wrestling for.
Absolutely.
And that's what the face of the franchise came to be as.
Yeah.
Talking about, obviously, the tracksuit, let's talk about the entrance and the theme song. How did all that come together? Because I love the entrance. The theme song is perfect. I love it. It's just, I'm a big fan of entrances because I feel like nowadays it's kind of getting lost because the themes aren't really that good. But the theme and the entrance sort of makes the character more so than just what they do in the ring.
Yeah, I think, again, it's just an element of presenting myself as this larger than life, iconic creature character. And I say creature like I'm playing something. I'm me. Right? But this is the reality of the situation is I'm the heightened version of the traits that I want to most present. Right. So the arrogance is up, but so is the professionalism. The idea that my music and the way that I carry myself to the ring, slowly, right, presenting myself for everyone to see, having the custom logo fitted tracksuit with the captain's patch tells everybody that I'm the guy that we should be looking at. And it's not as stereotypical as like, oh, here, let me show you my abs, or, oh, I'm narcissistic, let me carry a mirror, right? Those things are, there's nothing wrong with those things, but for me, they felt one-dimensional. Whereas what I'm trying to do as the face of the franchise, it's not just look at me, it's look at me and here's why, and here's why, and here's why.
Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that your first wrestling gear was, the neon shorts with the stripes. There was another guy that made his television debut in neon shorts with stripes, and look where he got himself. So
absolutely,
you got something.
If we're thinking about the same guy, all it took for him to blow up was to figure out who he was and put that on screen.
Absolutely.
And there
If
you
I'm
go.
still guessing the right guy, all it took was for him to start wearing throwbacks and start rapping.
Yes.
Right.
And for me,
Yes.
and for me, it's to act like Tom Brady. It's to act like your Ronaldos. It's to put myself back in that sort of college football, I'm going to the NFL mindset and say, hey, I'm the guy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just be Tom Brady until it's time for the roast. Then be
Right,
someone else.
right. So, going back to One Division, what are some goals you have for not only One Division Pro Wrestling, but for the 2025 year?
Immediate goal at One Division Pro is to get through this Sunday to dog walk KC Lycan and show him that he's not on my level and he's not on the level below me. Let's start there. Let's start there. Moving past KC Lycan, not to say I'm looking past KC Lycan, but moving past him in the future. The intention is to become the new longest reigning One Division Pro World Champion of all time. Additionally, to continue to elevate the company, because when a company chooses me to represent it, I know that they have the intention and the aspiration for me to take the company to places it's never been before. One Division Pro had never been to England, so I took him there, and so on. So I want to continue to be in a position where I grow the title in not only in defenses, both overseas and here in the States, but also to put the One Division Pro Championship on screen for the companies that have never featured it before. For me as an individual outside of One Division and in my professional wrestling career, it is to continue to grow, continue to wrestle people who have been to the places that I want to be at, because every time I'm able to do so, I come back learning something. When I wrestle a Rich Swann or an O'Shea Edwards who have been to the places that I want to be at, that's how I learn. When I was in Florida this past week, I trained with Pete Dunne. You know what Pete Dunne told me? I'm welcome anytime. So guess where I'll be very soon again? Down with Pete Dunne, because that's a place where I know I'm going to learn a ton. That's my goal, is to just continue to learn, continue to wrestle people that are better than me until I'm better than them.
Amazing. I love it. All right. So when you're not busy being the face of the franchise and, showing the Jarett Diaz brand worldwide, what kind of things do you like to do outside of the ring?
What do I like to do out of the ring? Well, as I said, I'm a big football guy. I'm a big sports guy, traditional sports guy. So obviously, congratulations.
Go Birds.
Obviously watched the Super Bowl. I watched every Jets game and was often sad. And I watched a lot of Eagles games too. I was rooting for you guys down in Philly. So obviously I love football. I love basketball too. I'm a big Knicks fan. We're having a great year. Philly, not so much. Tough for ya. But I'm enjoying that. And what else? I love spending time with my friends and family. I hit the gym as often as I can. Which I hope can tell because I'm up about 15 pounds from last year.
There you go.
What else? I love movies. I'm a big movie guy. When I was in college, I used to watch a movie a day. I'm not that up on it anymore because my wrestling has me a little bit more busy, and I have a girlfriend that I live with, so we try to do a little more than just watch movies, but sometimes we watch musicals, which I know we're going to lead to next. Hit Broadway for a little while. She's a musical theater nerd, and that's also the industry she works in. She's an actress.
Nice.
We like to take that in when we can. I like video games here and there. I'm not an addict, but I just started playing Helldivers. That's hard. It's very difficult. I much more enjoy Madden or NCAA.
Of course. Now, there's something else that you do that I have to mention that I saw scrolling through the YouTubes. You had a chance to sit down and interview Gerard Butler and O'Shea.
Yes, I did. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and
how was that
Gerard,
experience?
The stars of Den of Thieves 2 Pantera in theaters. I want to say in theaters now. It might be out of theaters on streaming now, but that was amazing.
That come about?
That was so cool. Yeah, I had the opportunity to work for Lad Bible, the U.S. branch of Lad Bible, Unilad, over the summer. Like I said, I'm in broadcasting, and some of my career aspirations have taken me to really cool places. I've had the opportunity to sit down with Megan Goods and Jesse McCartney's and Joe Skarsgård, and now having that most recent opportunity to interview the Den of Thieves stars was super cool. And I know O'Shea Jackson's a big wrestling fan. So, of course, before I started the interview, we started jumping and talking about wrestling.
Nice.
Bloodline and chatting that up a bit, which was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so because I had this opportunity to work with them over this past summer, they had an interview opportunity that they called me in for, and I was able to get that done, which was super cool. I was also just to shift only slightly, I was able to interview with like Jake and Logan Paul last year, as Jake was fighting against Mike Perry and then against Mike Tyson as well. Logan was a wrestling conversation that we got to have too, which was pretty cool. When I say I have multiple paths and I give them as much effort as I can all around, that's what I mean, right? Putting myself in a position where I can meet these high profile people and grow my own brand alongside that.
Sure.
That's just incredible to think about. Like, I mean, okay. How old are you?
I'm 28 years old.
Okay.
28 years old. Now, just think of it like when I was 28 years old, I was like interviewing the local pizza places to see which one I enjoyed.
Right.
Hey, don't worry. I do those too. I'll go hit Central Park and do these man on the street interviews and be like, oh, that was a dud. This is horrible.
Right.
That was so bad.
I mean, seriously though, you're sitting here at 28 years old and you're talking to us about going down to Florida and training with Pete Dunne and interviewing all these huge names, and like it's got to be incredible to just sit back and think about the things you've been able to do so far. And you're only 28. Like you have like your entire life ahead of you.
So much time left too.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
You've done so much already.
I really appreciate you saying that. I wish that I were better at stopping and smelling the roses here and there, but I will say that I have a really great support system that sort of grabs my hand when I'm ready to move on to another thing and just pauses me for a second, be like, hey, just enjoy that for a moment before you're looking to what you're doing next week or tomorrow or whatever, who allow me to stay grounded in the opportunities that I'm in before I'm chasing the next one. So I'm very fortunate to have had a lot of cool opportunities so far. But for me, it's just the beginning. For me, it's just continuing to pursue every opportunity that I can until I am featured on television weekly with whatever wrestling companies is willing to allow me on their television.
Sure.
And at the same time, pursue this career with broadcasting and make sure that I'm putting myself in rooms with names who have friends in high places that can continue to earn opportunities in that way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So here's something that was just kind of jumping in my head for a moment here. So let's say that professional wrestling had not worked out for you, but you've got your sports broadcasting from Full Sail. What do you think you would be doing right now if wrestling hadn't worked out for you?
If I hadn't ever started, or if I just like stopped today?
Well, let's just say, you tried wrestling or it didn't work for you, whatever the case may be. Let's say, something happened that you just, decided it just wasn't for you, or, what do you think you'd be doing?
Let's say I follow the same path, but without wrestling. I think at 21, 22 years old, when I started going to Full Sail, I would have stayed more focused in traditional sports. I would have continued to pursue that broadcasting career. I don't want to say WWE sidetracked me or wrestling sidetracked me, because it really was the thing I wanted to do the most and why I was there. But if I went there without wrestling on the brain and I still decided to go to that school, I still would have put myself in a really advantageous place in regard to like my broadcasting career in this pursuit. Like I said, my first job out of school was with WWE, but if it wasn't, I still would have had a lot of great experience at Full Sail, where I was able to network with people from ESPN and MSG and CBS and NBC and all of these industry professionals. Most of my classmates and colleagues from Full Sail landed at Fox Sports or at a local CBS station or wherever they landed. One of my buddies is the play-by-play voice for the Trenton baseball team. I don't know. Baseball team, but that's his job, because that's the pursuit that he really dialed in on, was doing play-by-play. So I know that I would still be in this industry. I just think I would have leaned more traditional sports, less wrestling, less entertainment. Because there's always been that love there. Like I said, I was a Mike and Mike kid. So I still listen to ESPN radio pretty regularly. I check in on First Take and all those talking heads.
Right.
So I think I'd like to be one of those talking heads someday if I weren't trying to be an in the ring competitor.
Absolutely. You definitely have the voice for sure. Or as I say, the voice for radio, but you also have the face for radio as well.
You got the face for radio. You got the face for TV. You know,
right,
you got
right.
I can't see. I don't know. You're
right.
You got all the faces.
That's my guy. I'll take his listen. I'll hear as many John Cena references as you want.
Right.
That is my all-time favorite.
You won't hear many of them here. Unfortunately,
Ralph's not a John Cena fan.
John Cena is not the most
like
No, see, listen.
No, because every wrestling fan contrarian just loves to hate on John Cena.
Now, come on.
As if there's anything wrong with putting smiles on faces for 15 years with only 5 moves and being the most make-a-wish guy
for
ever
15
exists.
years.
Come on. Don't hate.
Listen, oh man. No, listen.
Dude, you have no idea how excited he is that he's retiring. He's so excited that he's retiring.
This man made all the money to do 5 moves and represent the company. If you don't think that I would take that job in a heartbeat,
listen,
5 moves
I'm not saying
and
that.
do all the Make-A-Wishes and all the media and do those terrible WWE
Listen, I wish
moves,
he'd
I'll
make
do 'em
my
all.
wish. I have a wish. I wish he'd make it. Jeez, well, he's gonna make it in December. Listen, so I have been down. No.
You sound like Kendrick at the Super Bowl show.
Here
Petty.
You gonna get up and crip walk like Serena?
No.
I have been down with John Cena hatred from day one. I will be the first to admit I have not ever liked John Cena once, but I will say this. I'm throwing a party for him. On January 1.
Exactly.
On January 1, I'm throwing a party because that means that it is officially the first day of the rest of my life.
My friends and I watching the Rumble last month, and none of us thought Cena was going to win, but we all hoped for it, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Devastated, all of us.
I shed the single tear. I don't know which I was more upset about though. Him losing or James.
He played the smallest violin. I don't want to hear about a tear. Get out of here.
I don't. Listen, I'm telling you, I don't know if I was more upset that or more excited that he lost or more upset that Jay won. I'm not. Look, I think Jay Uso's a great wrestler.
He just hates fun, I think.
No, that's not what it is at all.
Hates fun.
Listen,
just hates fun.
Listen, what is fun about John Cena? I want you to explain that to me. What is fun about him?
If you can't understand,
he has one pop file ready to go.
Wow.
Everybody collects these things. I have one.
Listen, all I gotta say is just go back and watch the year that they built up to the first match between him and Rock, and it was one of the greatest years of my life because The Rock just destroyed him.
Just shut him down.
Like, losing to everyone all year. I remember. Rock threw him around. I'm going
to say this publicly for the first time ever.
Oh boy!
So when John Cena lost that match to The Rock, there was an image of John Cena sitting in the entranceway, looking all mopey.
Right.
So I took that picture and I made it my profile picture on Facebook, and then I made my cover picture The Rock celebrating his win. And I kept that on my Facebook page for exactly 1 year.
So petty.
1 year.
I love it.
This is what I'm saying. He hates fun and he's here for pettiness.
Listen,
no,
it's not that. Listen, I will give him this. If you're going to commit to something, you have to commit. If he's going to commit to hating Cena on day 1, you have to commit. And he committed.
Yeah,
I can respect you not turning when everybody else decided that you love him.
Exactly. He committed from day 1.
Day one.
I am not a bandwagon jumper at all. Like I do not jump ship. I'm a fan of all Philadelphia sports.
You're loyal. You're loyal.
We have been at the top of the mountain.
He's loyal.
And at the bottom of the ocean, and I've been there with him the whole time. I went down with the ship the whole night. But no, here's the thing though. I will say this much. Now I have heard John Cena speak a couple times I heard an interview that he did with Busted Open, and I will say that I can respect the man as a person because he is a good person who has done a lot of great things for a lot of people. A lot of people are better off because of him. A lot of people have made money and a livelihood because of him, or they have been better off at their livelihood because of him. So
Right.
I'd never take that away from him. I'm just one of those guys that I feel like at a certain point in time, you know, you need to change, you need to evolve. I'm the guy that was a Bailey fan from day one, and I literally blew through the roof when she turned heel because I'd been asking for it for years.
Yeah.
Like I'd been on that you need to turn heel bandwagon, but I get why he didn't. I understand the merchandising. I understand, you know, it's Hulk Hogan all over again. Now, could his heel turn have been?
Oh, here we go. Cena,
yes.
If it ain't broke.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know,
broke.
listen,
Right.
man, you know, listen, he lives another day to wear another color. That's what he does.
and the jorts will never go anywhere.
No,
don't expect that to change.
No, he'll probably wear a suit with jorts if he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. He'll have like black jorts on.
That should be his heel turn. If by some miracle he decides it's his last year, he's gonna go full heel. Just wear jeans. Screw the jorts. Just wear jeans.
No.
Just go full jean.
Do you know how hot he would be?
Oh,
go
yeah.
full jean. Go full jean. Full jean with it.
Orange Cassidy does it, and he's a real man.
Exactly right.
Listen, what do you remember when Dustin Rhodes came out on Raw and he had the gold dust suit and he threw it in a big bin and lit it on fire?
Right.
That's what John Cena needs to do with the jorts. That would be the heel turn.
What year was that?
Oh boy, that was
somewhere
like
in the 90s, wasn't
98, 99 maybe.
We're gonna
get his head. I like my wrestling history, but I can't say I've seen everything.
Yes. All right, here we go. It was let's see, May 11th, 1998, and
there you go.
He was doing his big, you know, like I'm going crazy, I hate everything turn.
Right.
And so he came out on Raw, and there was a big metal can out there, and he tore apart the Gold Dust character and threw it in there and lit it on fire. And
okay,
I'll
go have to check the segment.
Yes, that's what John Cena needs to do with the jorts. Just get it gone, and then that'd be the heel turn.
Now that we've gone on the John Cena tangent, let's let's get to maybe some final questions, shall we?
Yeah, I think at this point it is probably time for us to get to the final question of the interview. John, I know you're dying to ask this as you are every week, so please take it away with our final question. The softballs are over. It's time for the hard
let's
one.
get a little bit more serious now that we've gone through the whole
super
rise above hate. Rise above hate is over. So, to you, Jarett Diaz, what does pro wrestling mean to you, and what is the significance that it's had on your life?
Pro wrestling means to me, that's a great question. For me, pro wrestling is the expression of whoever you most want people to see you as.
Okay.
There are a lot of wrestlers who present themselves in a lot of different ways, and the beauty of professional wrestling is that they're all okay. What influence has it had? I mean, it's changed my life 10 times over. Since I started wrestling in 2018, I feel like I've lived 3 different lives. I've met friends that I've had for years that I'll have for the rest of my life through professional wrestling. I've seen the world on somebody else's dime through professional wrestling. I hope to continue doing that. I've been in some really cool rooms and met some really cool people. And for me, the influence that's had on my life is kind of like what you said. Like I'm young, and I know that I'm going to be a part of this world in some capacity for a long time in the future. So I guess we'll wait and continue to see the change and the influence that it has on my life.
Yeah, you live at this point. You have lived an incredible life already, and
absolutely.
You know, I love your take on professional wrestling. I think it's something I haven't heard before, but it's a really interesting way to look at, you know, the art of professional wrestling.
Very absolutely.
All right. So with that, I think it's time. We've been talking about this. We hyped it up a little bit. We teased it a little bit earlier.
Yep.
But it is now time for our main event top 5 list. And Sean, can you please remind us what we are talking about again this week?
This week we have a doozy and a first on the podcast of any. Yes. We have had many of lists. We have had many of non-related wrestling lists, which we love.
Yep.
But this week we're doing top 5 musicals. As Jarett Diaz mentioned before, his girlfriend was very into Broadway and musical, and you both very musically Broadway inclined. So I'm excited to hear what you got up your sleeve.
So let me just preface this by saying she's an industry professional, and she's going to hear this list, and she's going to have some strong opinions. She's going to have some strong opinions.
You're gonna get off this podcast, and she's gonna be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?
No,
like, do you not know anything about musicals?"
I literally want her to hear this list. So
here's a question. Here's a question before you start. Do you guys argue about musicals? Like
argue? No, but we definitely have some differing opinions.
Got you. Okay.
Debate. Got it. Okay.
So I'm here I'm here on a wrestling podcast.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Talking about myself, talking about my journey, talking about my upcoming match. For the World Championship. But our final question is about musicals. So let's do this thing.
Yes. All right,
let's do it. Top to
bottom.
Number 5.
Number 5, top 5 musicals. I'm going with In the Heights.
Ooh,
that's a personal choice for me.
Okay.
Because number 1, it's about representation, right? I've never seen a show that looks and feels like me and my family and the people that I grew up with and the people that I know. Outside of the fact that it is written creatively and choreographed beautifully. Number 4.
Nice.
Number 4.
Okay.
Phantom of the Opera.
It's a classic.
It had the longest run in the history of Broadway, and it's also the first major Broadway show that I ever saw. Some of those super high notes that are sung by the soprano singer are just give you chills, and they're incredible.
Yeah.
Don't watch the movie. Go find a bootleg on YouTube. Number 3.
There you go.
I'm sure my girlfriend's going to love this.
Okay.
Just this whole rant, just the whole thing.
Yes.
Number 3, I'm going with Les Mis.
Ooh, Les Mis. Okay.
Yes.
A goddamn masterpiece. It's outstanding. The movie won Oscars, and movie musicals aren't usually translated that well.
Yeah.
So that's how you know it's really good. Les Mis.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Awesome.
Number 2 is Hadestown. Now, Hadestown isn't necessarily as popular as all those other ones, but Hadestown is so gorgeous. I left with the most beautiful little tune in my head, and it stuck for months. I'm going to suggest and encourage everyone who's listening to check out the album on Spotify. And after a couple of listens, a couple of tracks, you'll find that tune, and it won't leave your head either.
Right.
Okay.
And number 1, with a bullet.
Oh, here we go.
Hamilton.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Yes.
I gotta tell you.
Yes.
For me, it's Hamilton, and then Hadestown, and then everything else. When I speak about representation with In the Heights, the show is really, really about that. But when I talk about representation with Hamilton, that is taking an entirely different story and plugging in everybody that you can. With a little extra of the people that look and sound and feel like me. So that's really cool. But aside from that, a hip hop musical to tell a story of an early America. Obviously, it crossed over into the mainstream. You got the Disney Plus version. I was able to see it live out of COVID, and
that's
just
amazing.
That's awesome.
Makes me sob like a child.
Right.
So that, in my opinion, is the number 1 musical of all time. Thus, ending this conversation talking about musicals on a wrestling podcast.
Love it.
Listen. The last musical I saw, which Broadway show, musical show. Let's stick with Broadway because it definitely was a musical. But
sure,
the last Broadway I saw, and it was a doozy just because of the book because we all had to read this book either in like 8th grade or high school of Mice and Men. I saw that on Broadway.
Yeah,
man.
Did you see it with James Franco and Chris O'Dowd some years ago?
Yes.
I wish I had.
Crazy.
I really wanted to.
God, it's like the book is already emotional.
Yeah,
as hell. The Broadway, oh God, they took that up to like another level.
They're both of them super skilled.
Amazing.
And James Franco, aside from what he is, the talent there is undeniable. I was lucky enough. This is a tiny little portion of my journey too. I was lucky enough for a year when I was living in New York to train at James Franco's acting studio.
Wow. Okay.
In Manhattan, and had the opportunity to work with him just one time, but at his school and the way that things are taught there was really incredible. So I'm very jealous that you got to see him on Broadway.
What was the last Broadway show or musical you saw, Ralph?
So I've only been to Broadway once.
Okay.
And I saw a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, and it was right after Nathan Lane left, and Whoopi Goldberg was the lead in the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And a man came in late, and she stopped the entire show and just roasted him for coming in. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
That's so
That's
great.
Amazing.
Yes.
I will say the last musical I did see was Rock of Ages. That was awesome.
Was that
Okay.
good?
The last show I saw was oh man, it's out of Broadway now, but it's called Swept Away.
Okay.
And it had a very short run, but it's basically this whaling ship gets overtaken and crashes out, and it's a pair of brothers, the captain and this like ne'er-do-well worker on the ship, the four of them. The first act, it's a one act show, so there's really no like intermission in the middle.
Okay.
But they the first like 20 minutes is this big grandiose on a ship musical, and the rest of the show is just four guys in a boat acting their asses off. And I wish it stayed open longer, but it got extended long enough for me to see it with my girlfriend, and it was outstanding. We were both crying like little babies. So.
Right. Of course.
I would say check that out if you can somewhere.
Right.
It's out now.
So I just want you to know that I kind of had this decided ahead of time, but if Hamilton was not on your list somewhere, I was just going to end the show. I was gonna be like, guys,
Just cut it off.
I'm cultured.
Cut.
Yes,
Just
I get
cut.
it. No, so my wife and I had some friends who were like Hamilton addicts, and we didn't know anything about it. We'd never seen it, but when it hit Disney Plus, they were like, you have to watch this, and they kept harping on it. So we finally sat down one night and watched it, and I cannot tell you, it was like a revelation. We started listening to Hamilton,
and it crossed over the mainstream like 5 years prior to its launch on Disney. But I'm the type to not listen to any of the music or anything until I see the show in some capacity. So I was blown away the first time, and then I watched it like 3 times in a row over the next 5 days.
Right.
Yeah, the Hamilton soundtrack became regular listening music in the car for quite some time.
Oh
Same.
yeah.
Every long car ride, anything over 4 hours, that's making an appearance for sure.
Yeah.
Now, were you a fan of the Hamilton mixtape?
I'd never heard of it. I didn't know it was a mixtape.
Do
before
that.
it was a show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
you gotta listen to it.
So because of that, and I got really into just keeping up with Lin-Manuel. Like I said, I'm a research guy. And so it turns out my cousin is his neighbor. So when up in Millbrook, like upstate, one of his he has that place, and then he has the place still in Washington Heights. So my cousin, he had told me, hey, he's actually working on a new thing with Lauryn Hill, so you should keep an eye on like Spotify.
Oh, wow.
So he put out a concept album for a show based on the movie The Warriors, which is such a deep cut movie, but like it has this huge cult following. So there's a musical coming for the Warriors, and I'm on top of it.
Incredible.
That's awesome.
That might be my next trip to Broadway. I may have to
come on over to New York, man.
That's amazing.
Right.
Very cool. All right. Great interview. Great top 5.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you had Hamilton at number 1, which
it's the best
makes me
one.
extremely
Thumbs up
happy.
for that
Yes.
one.
All right. So with that, we're going to get into some upcoming events. Now, Sean, we have an interview coming this Sunday, but let's just take a look back quickly and look at Bell to Bell month so far. Some great interviews you can check out. We started off Bell to Bell months with Bell to Bell's first ever Diamond champion, Gabby Ortiz. Had a great conversation with her.
Oh, we love Gabby. Gabby's good people.
Gabby's great. Gabby's great.
So then and we wish Gabby the best of wishes in recovering from her nasty hand injury. So hopefully she'll be back in the ring.
Get well soon, girl.
Then we moved on to Becca Wiley, a young talent that is really kind of making some waves, and we were very excited to talk to her. Yep. Then our third week we had a guest that could not join us that week. So we got a pretty decent fill-in.
Pretty big
Not bad,
fill-in.
you know.
Pretty big
not
fill-in.
bad. Notorious Mimi.
You know.
And we had, yeah.
Mimi is awesome.
Dude,
She was great.
We had so much fun with her on the podcast.
Yeah, you want to talk about it? You want to talk about a journey? Talk about entering as Sloan Jacobs and coming out somehow even better for independence than ever before.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Shout out Mimi.
Yeah. That was a great interview, and we are super excited for Sunday's interview to close up Bell to Bell month. It's Big Daddy Adriana Mosley.
Oh yeah,
we are so excited to talk to her. She's super pumped to join us on the show. So we're really excited for that. So I think you've got some
good slate.
Yeah, I think got some. I think you got some stuff coming up, don't you?
I got some events coming up.
You got some things.
Yeah, let's talk about
things and some stuff. Yeah, let's do it.
So of course, as we've been discussing, my One Division Pro World Championship defense this Sunday. February 23rd. You can contact the company for an invite because it is by invite only. Following that, I am at AXW Wrestling J Bougie this coming next Saturday, March 1st in Hamburg, Pennsylvania at the Hamburg Fieldhouse. The following day, I am wrestling Eli Isom in the main event at Federated Wrestling Alliance FWA in Havre de Grace, Maryland. I will also be appearing once again at House of Glory on March 15th. I am at Shadow Wrestling. Myself and Matt Awesome, the Uptown Boys, have a tag team match March 22nd. And I will be in WrestleMania fashion all week in Las Vegas from the 14th to the 20th.
You going to Mania?
Yes, I am.
That's awesome.
But before that, I will be competing all week at whatever events Future Stars of Wrestling will be holding.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
This man has a crazy schedule.
I'm a
crazy schedule.
Man.
I'm a busy man, and as I like to say, and I asked for this.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, you're starting off March with a banger of a weekend, man.
Seriously.
Yeah. Jay Bougie and Eli Isom. I've been in the ring with both, but I've never wrestled either one-on-one, so I'm very much looking forward to those.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And of course, as you've seen throughout the episode, we have the social media tags down below. So please make sure you are following 1DP to get all the information about this event and upcoming events, but make sure you are following and supporting our boy Jarett Diaz online on his socials, because not only are you supporting him, but you get to see everything that he's doing. You'll get to be able to keep up with him, and you'll be able to see where he's going to be at, so you can go out and see him live, because it is a show. It's the Jarett Diaz brand. You cannot miss it.
You got it.
Oh, dude.
Witness greatness, people. Witness greatness.
That's right. You have the opportunity to pay to witness greatness. What better could there be? Yes.
Right.
Amazing. So we are so happy that we were able to get you on the show. We had the little conversation at Cage of Death, but we were super excited to have this opportunity to get you on the show to talk a little 1DP and everything else you've got going on, being, the big world champ that you are.
The champ.
Yeah. So we appreciate your time tonight. We appreciate you for coming on.
I appreciate you guys having me. This is a blast. I knew this was going to be a fun conversation from just the short chat that we had at CCW Cage of Death. I'm very happy we got to do a long form, and I am down to have another one anytime you'd like.
Oh, dude, you are absolutely welcome
back.
Anytime. We would love to have you again. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this bonus episode of the Opinion City podcast. So for the face of the franchise, the brand himself, Jarett Diaz, for Parmesan, I'm King Ralph. And remember, kindness is free, so be kind to each other. God bless, and we will see you guys next time.
We out.
Well, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed it. We had a ball making it. Thank you very much.